Okay, it is now 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, August the 1st, 2013, and I am calling the Select Board of the Town of Newfane to order. First order of business is we have actually 3 sets of minutes to review. The first set is July 18th, the July 18th meeting. Excuse me, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
The only thing I could see is on the town office improvements on page 1. We have a sentence that doesn't seem to end. So it's really the third sentence. Chris Droop moved, and it was seconded by Gloria Cristelli, to have the administrative assistant put the projects out to bid, and that she checked with VLCT for clarification as to whether the wording, period.
Yeah, okay, or comma, the contractor will provide all elements and proof. I think it's whether the wording needs to be included.
Yeah, that's what, it was just that little.
Okay, that. So just to add after the word wording, the words needs to be included.
Okay.
Okay, any other additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor of accepting the minutes as corrected?
Aye.
Aye. It passes unanimously. Of members present, let it be noted that Todd Lawley, as notified previously, will not be attending tonight's meeting. Okay, the next set of minutes is from the, I'm doing this more lightly in time order, but from the hearing of July 22nd. This was the hearing on the town plan, and that meeting was held at 6 o'clock on July 22nd. Are there any, could I have a motion to accept those minutes?
I move to accept the July 22nd second minutes.
Moved and seconded. Any corrections or additions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those minutes are therefore passed. Mike, I cannot vote in that he was not actually present at that meeting. Okay, and then the followed immediately after that meeting was the Select Board meeting, in which, for the town's benefit, the town did approve the town plan as submitted by the Planning Commission, and gratefully we were able to pass the plan, which means that once all the paperwork is completed, we will have a legally adopted new updated town plan, which is a very good thing. It makes us eligible for grants and other such things. Okay, do I have a motion to accept the minutes of the July 22nd special meeting?
So moved. Seconded.
Okay, are there any additions or corrections to those minutes?
There's just one pet word that it's so easy to do, ensued instead of insured.
Okay, insured.
And that's,
There's an
Chris
R.
yeah.
Second paragraph.
I mean,
Okay, okay, no, that's fine. All right, so the discussion, I don't see it, but I'm sure you do. Discussion ensued. Okay, so we'll strike the R. So there's all those in favor of accepting the minutes as corrected?
aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you very much. That motion passed unanimously of those present at the meeting. The next order of business is the scheduled members of the public, and we do have our Sheriff's Office representative here, so that will be the first person to speak. Mark, do you want to address us?
Sure. Good to see you. Sorry I haven't been
Hi,
really well. Just want to touch base. I brought reports for July, and I do apologize for my dress.
I like it. I was thinking, geez, I want a T-shirt like
It's
that.
comfortable. I'm not gonna lie, but I've been sitting inside an old jail cell all day.
What did you do?
Well, you know, we have a lot of stuff that we just like to hold on to now. We're cleaning out our evidence lockers, so.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, well, ask me to come by next time you do that.
So for the month of July, we provide 27.25 hours of service, answering a total of 24 calls for service. And I mean, we did a mix of motor vehicle enforcement as well as just driving around some of the back roads, and we've also provided some grant enforcement, highway safety, and DUI enforcement. So there's not really much to report. It was actually a pretty quiet month.
We like it quiet
Yeah.
on that.
Quiet's good.
Yes.
But I was overhearing when we came in somebody talking about break-ins. Was that Gunther? Were you saying?
Yeah,
so?
that's supposedly we're looking for a red Land Rover without front bumper.
Okay, that's news to me.
Okay, so
Somebody pass the message
pass
forward.
the info on.
State police supposedly.
All right,
I'll
but
check
keep
with
your
you.
eyes out. We continue to get rumblings of break-ins, and God
Yeah.
knows we don't. I'm sure it's the hardest thing to deal with, but
There's a couple things with break-ins. First off, what we find is often that break-ins occur at seasonal homes,
Yeah.
and so a break-in occurs now. We might not hear about it till wintertime when someone comes to visit their seasonal
Uh-huh.
home. Generally, the most reported time for break-ins is in the summer and in the winter, because that's when people are generally at their camps or at their homes. So a lot of times the break-ins we find are actually occurring in the spring or fall.
Head takeover were a while back. Is what you're saying.
It can be. I do know that there was a couple alarms that went off today. It sounded like that there was entry made into houses, so they weren't false alarms. It's very preliminary information. I don't really know where the dust has settled since then. And other than that, the only thing I've heard happening in Newfane was also today, which was a log truck took out some telephone pole up on Timson Hill. So it. I mean,
I don't think that was intentional, though.
I'm guessing it was a mistake. Usually it is,
But I mean, it just is.
we try to
All
keep our eyes
joking
open
aside,
for-
it is
for
one of
things
those
like that,
things
but
that
reality
makes
is
everybody shiver a little bit, you know.
and it absolutely does, and we try and keep our eyys open, but with such a limited amount of resources, it's one of those things that we can look, but it's a big town.
Understood.
So
Understood.
I did bring reports,
All right.
unless anybody has any questions for me.
Any from the public? Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank
Have
you,
a
Mark.
wonderful day.
Thank you. Take care. The next is that we have a representative to speak to us from VLCT, right?
Yeah.
You want to talk to us a little bit about? We're all concerned about how the health changes, the health laws changing, and how that affects us. And I think you were going to give us some info from VLCT about what you tell us.
How familiar are you with the healthcare exchange?
Not at all.
And what's happening in 2014?
Just learning.
Vague.
So I have a presentation that I'll hand out, and I'll go through it rather quickly. So it can be a lengthy presentation, and I don't want to take up a lot of your time. But there's probably a few things in here that you'll need to know, especially going into 2014. Yeah. And you want to just hand.
Yeah, if you
not
just
sure
ask
how
a
many
couple out
copies
to
are
the
there.
public, certainly the public should be aware of this.
So quickly to go through this, so healthcare exchange, again, or healthcare reform is going into effect in 2014, specifically for groups that have less than 50 employees. So
That's
being a
us.
town of Newfane, you have less than 50 employees. So a few things that I was going to talk about is Vermont Health Connect, what that is. Geez, I didn't realize this was so small.
I was gonna say, you better have your good
Yeah.
glasses on too.
Employees and employer choices on the exchange, actuarial values of the plans, and what that really means as far as for employees that are choosing plans, what the actuarial value means. The scenarios based on rates and renewals. The rates have been approved. Just got sent out to the public yesterday around 9:30. So I have those. I put those in the spreadsheets that I'll hand out here in a little bit, just so you can see what those rates are compared to what you're paying today.
Okay.
Issues for consideration, such as folks being such a small town, maybe, I don't know if you do or not, but you may have employees that are over 65 that are active employees, and how that impacts them going forward. Other issues regarding in the exchange, dental, some dental is included, mostly for pediatric, and how that would impact you, as well as vision. And then how the LCT is here to assist you, how we can help moving forward and work with the town. So quickly, the Vermont Health Benefit Exchange is called the Vermont Health Connect. It's a marketplace for basically buying insurance. It's a marketplace to go out, purchase your insurance starting in 2014. Again, specifically for groups with less than 50 employees. Opens for business in October. And that's when it's open for the town. So the town of Newfane would go on and set up their account starting October 1st. And then it starts offering health insurance for employees effective January 1st of 2014. So again, it's available for groups with 50 or less employees starting 2014. The state's intentions is to expand that in 2016 to 50 to 100, so basically 100 or less employees would then buy their insurance through Healthcare Exchange or Vermont Health Connect. And then 2017, the state's intention is to going down the road of single payer, so it would be open for all groups, all towns, or all employers with over 100 or greater.
What does it mean, the only game in town?
It'll be the only place to purchase your insurance. So for groups with like yourself, in 2014, it will be the only place to purchase your insurance starting in January.
Through that exchange. And
Through
so
the
forth.
exchange.
But there are a number of carriers that cover?
There are.
Okay, so keep going.
Sure. So there's a few ways to access it. The state's really the exchange is an online portal. Basically, Vermont Health Connect is an online portal where you can go, you can look at the health insurance that's available, compare the plans, and determine what's best. You can do it online. The other way to do it is by phone, so they will have a call center available, so employees can call to determine what plan they want.
Well, isn't it employers in this case? I mean, in other words, does an individual get the, for our town employees, we provide a specific alternative?
Yeah,
usually.
I will get into that. That is one thing that will change in 2014. The employer really chooses the funding level, so how much you're going to contribute. Employees, starting 2014, have a choice of plans.
I see.
You can limit carriers, would be one of your choices, but they would have choices of any plan within that carrier, or they can just have the whole market available.
I see. So we determine the level of support, but the employee will actually choose the plan.
You got it.
Okay.
Yeah. So there will be navigators available. Navigators are state-funded organizations. Navigators would go out and potentially assist members and assist your employees in helping sign up or pick a plan that best meets their needs. There's limited navigators. I think there's about 170 different navigators, a few different organizations around the state. So if it's something that you're thinking or considering, you're probably going to want to get ahead of ahead of the curve on that. Try to schedule a navigator that could potentially come to your town and assist your employees signing up and making the choice of plan that best meets their
Okay.
needs. There are insurance brokers are still going to be available in 2014. The amount that you would pay a broker is outside of the exchange. The state has kind of limited what that is. It's going to be $20 per employee per month is what the broker can get. And again, that's outside of the premium, so it's outside of the exchange. It would be billed through like a third party in order for that to happen. So it's also a possibility if that's something you're thinking of.
But
the
who
LCT,
normally pays that? Is that the town or the employer or the employee?
the
Says
employer.
employer.
Yeah, it's paid for by the employer. It's a negotiated fee,
Okay,
and then again, it's funnels through a third party.
okay.
VLCT, we're here to help the town, so we're here to help you kind of figure out what's best for the town. We're not really staffed to sit down with every employee and try to help them make a decision. So again, probably a navigator, call center. We do offer a service called Health Advocate. That may be something that will be available to you or your employees that would assist them as well. So again, it's open in October for the employer. Employer goes on and sets up their account and downloads their roster of employees. Basically sends a census of employees and determines the funding amount, or if you are funding anything for insurance. In November, it opens for the employees. That's when the employees portal opens. That's when your employees would then go and, based on your census, could choose any one of the plans in the exchange. Again, that would be effective for January 1st. One kind of hard deadline date just to keep in mind for your employees is they really need to make that decision, try to make a decision, pick a plan by December 1st. They have until the December 15th. I really wouldn't push it that far because you want to make sure that employees pay. Their probably number one concern is, do I have coverage? So they want to make sure they have coverage for January 1st. They want to have an ID card. So if they push it like around the 15th, ID cards may be a little late. There may be some concern that they don't have coverage, although they probably do. But I would really encourage for them to try to do it if they can by December 1st.
Cool.
Keep in mind that there's close to about 200,000 individuals that are going to be going through the exchange in that very short window, basically 30 days for employees. So that's why I say if you can get it by December 1st, it really does mean a lot for them. Plan designs in the exchange. So the exchange, again, it's a marketplace. A lot of the plan designs are governed by the ACA. Sorry. And so they have kind of determined what the level of benefits are. So there's roughly 4 different plan designs. There's a platinum plan, which is a 90% actuarial value. In layman's terms, or to make it simple,
All right,
it's
I'm
saying-
going to speed you up a little bit because
Yeah.
we have a long meeting and this is not everybody needs a full. So we can see what we can see on the thing. But I don't think we need details on. You know what I mean?
All right. So we'll scoot right along. Some of the things that you really need to be concerned about is I don't know if you have any part-time employees here that work on an average of 30 hours a week or more.
No,
You don't.
we have full time and we have people who work maybe 10 hours a week.
Okay. The definition of a full-time employee in the exchange, or the federal definition, is that full-time employee is somebody who works on an average of 30 hours a week or more. So it doesn't sound
Yeah,
like
so we definitely have full time.
you have full-time, but you don't have any part-times that would scoot into full-time. And seasonals,
We do have one seasonal.
okay. And if you have a seasonal employee, the definition of seasonal is somebody that works on an average of 30 hours a week or more for for 20 consecutive weeks. And if they do, then you would have to treat them like a full-time employee. So something just to keep in mind. If you don't, then you don't have to worry about it. If you do, you just may want to manage that time so they don't scoot into that 20 plus weeks. So that, because if they do, then you're going to have to offer them benefits like you do
Year round, right?
You would have to offer them benefits at the time that they're working for the
Oh, all right. I'm not sure we would be. Okay.
So that's something you really need to be concerned about. And then the one piece I just want to spend some time on is, so in the exchange, again, you have a couple choices as a town. You're gonna want to benchmark how much you're going to pay in premium. So for example, you're going to want to say we're going to pay 100% of the silver level, and then the employees, and again, you can choose the carrier, or they can have options of both carriers. Then the employees in November will go and pick the plan that best meets their needs. Now that 100% of silver, they could buy up. They could say they want the platinum plan and pay the difference, or they could, buy down because maybe, I don't know why they would, but they could potentially buy down, get a gold plan or a bronze plan.
But if we choose, let's say we choose a carrier,
Yep.
then must they choose that carrier? That's that choice we make.
Yes, if you choose a carrier and specify Blue Cross or specify MVP, which are the two carriers that are offering benefits, then they have to pick a plan within that carrier.
So right now we have MVP.
You do, yeah. And so the two carriers are Blue Cross and MVP. Just a couple of differences. Blue Cross is a national network, so the network is nationwide. MVP, the network they filed, is an HMO network. So the network is more Vermont, parts of New Hampshire, New York. If you go outside a network in both plans, there's no benefit. So there's no benefit in MVP, no benefit in Blue Cross. So those are the real major differences. The plan designs are the same between all of the standard plans in the exchange.
I'm confused. You say but really you're just saying there are two carriers with multi levels. Is that really what it boils down to?
There's two carriers that offers platinum, silver, gold,
Right.
And bronze.
Okay.
So there's a couple different options there, but roughly there's I think 18 different options that an employee could choose from. Okay.
So the Vermont Health Co-op that you've listed here, that doesn't currently exist?
It doesn't. They're trying to get licensed in the state of Vermont. When they last filed, they were rejected. They filed again, so that could happen by January 1st, but right now they're not.
Okay, thank you.
And then before I hand out, I just want to hand these out. These are, and we don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but one of the other options you may want to consider is whether it's worth keeping or dropping coverage. If you keep coverage, then the employees can go to the exchange just based on how much you contribute and purchase whatever plan best meets their needs. If you don't offer anything, the employees can go to the exchange as an individual, and then based on their income can be eligible for federal tax credits, federal tax subsidies. In the presentation, there's a scale there that shows you what 400% of the poverty level is for a single two-person and family. So you can kind of see what that range is. But if you offer insurance, they can't get that federal subsidy. If you don't, they can.
I see.
So just something to keep in mind. A lot of employers, especially municipalities, offer a pretty good benefit to employees. So it may not make sense just to drop coverage because they may not get as much subsidy as you give them in benefits. So just something to keep in mind. In the presentation, I put some pros and cons. Also in the presentation, I talk a little bit about Medicare, working age. If you have anybody that's if you have anybody that's 65 or older that is working today, since your group size is probably less than 20, they're going to have to, they could pick a plan in the exchange, but it's going to be secondary to their Medicare. May not make a lot of sense. Premium may be more cost effective for them to try to find a supplemental coverage instead of purchasing a plan in the exchange. So that's a little different than the way it is today. So I don't know if you have anybody in that.
But that's even if we've chosen a plan, or is that only in the case where we say we're dropping the coverage?
That is either or.
Either
for an active employee that is 65 or older. Because of your group size, Medicare is going to be primary. So they would have to pick up Medicare.
And you're saying that has not been true in the past?
Not today, I don't think, depending on if you purchase your insurance through a...
I see. Okay.
Can I interrupt quickly on Medicare? Medicare is not covered by whatever you're talking about.
Correct.
The supplemental to Medicare is not covered by what you're talking about.
Correct.
That's individually purchased.
Yeah. It's, Medicare is not touched by any of the healthcare reform changes that are coming. So Medicare, as well as the supplemental plans, you would purchase outside of the exchange. They're not available on the exchange, so you would purchase those outside. So this here is, so I did a comparison for you. It just shows you your plan that you're in today, how much you're paying in premium today, compared to what might be available in the exchange. So you can try to come up with that target figure if you want to offer insurance. So just for an example, I'll walk through this real quickly. The very first page, the top section there is the plan that you offer today. It's an MVP plan. I've got your number of employees that are in, single, two-person or family, and how much you're paying in premium. Looks like 80% of the cost of the insurance. And then there's a bottom figure there, the total budget. That's what you're paying out today, roughly, in insurance. So if you take that figure and you go down below, the first page is your platinum plan. That's your richest plan in the exchange. The premium is the premiums that were just approved. So the monthly premium is there. I put a figure of 90% in there. So if you wanted to do 90% of the premium, and then you follow that over to the far right, it tells you roughly how much that would potentially cost you in the exchange. Now again, remember, employees have a choice of plans in the exchange. So if you did, just as an example, I'll just give you this example. Say you did 90%, right? So that is, on a single person, you're paying $524.51, right? You see that figure? So that's obviously a little bit less than what the platinum plan is. But if you flip the page and look at one of the gold plans, they could take that figure and go into a gold plan, and it would pay 100% of their premium. So in that case, for that employee, they wouldn't have anything coming out of their paycheck in premium, in premium costs. Does that make sense?
Not to me, I'm sorry, I didn't.
Yeah.
Well, it may, you got it.
As long as there's no obligation for the differential to be paid.
There isn't. I mean, that
Right.
you can determine that. Your town can determine that.
But so the first page is our current. The top is our current.
Yeah.
Then you give one example of the
Of the platinum,
right.
at 90%, and then right next to it is a platinum if you want to say 100%.
Then on the back,
Yeah.
the one you're talking about now.
This is a gold,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's one of the non-standard plans in the exchange.
Where do I see that it's a gold? I'm sorry.
On the gold bar.
On the gold bar.
Oh, okay. I see. The top is always our current plan.
Top is always your current,
Okay.
how much you're paying today.
Okay. Okay.
And the bottom is the gold. And in the first one, I normally don't contribute or say that you're going to contribute anything to what they call a health reimbursement account. That's totally up to you. I just threw it in there just so that you can see.
Right. We don't in general currently. Right.
So-
Now this is a gold, and it comes in at a figure that's lower than one on the page before. What's the difference?
Out-of-pocket exposure, basically.
Are these two BCBS is Blue Cross Blue Shield,
Yep,
and this is also Blue Cross Blue Shield,
yep.
and this is, oh, I see, the gold is a level lower than the platinum. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And I just use Blue Cross.
So there are all these different ways we could slice the pie, essentially.
You got it. An HRA is something that some towns may consider doing and taking some risk, meaning they're going to pay less in premium, pay less toward a person in premium, but take some risk on a health reimbursement account.
Mm-hmm.
Again, an HRA, money goes back to the employer. So it's one of those situations where if you wanted to take some risk, pay less in premium, take some risk and put money aside to help pay for claims, some employers are doing that. And that's why I put that extra comparison there, just so you could see how much of a risk you'd be taking if you did something like that. So as you can see, the out-of-pocket expenses on these plans do jump up quite a bit. When you start getting past platinum. So gold is quite a bit higher, silver is even higher than that, and bronze is even higher than that. So if you were to do an HRA in any of those plans, you're taking, your risk goes up more and more depending on the plan that you choose.
Well, it's a great start. We're going to have to dig very deeply to understand this, and to kind of probably what I would imagine we're going to want to do is keep things, given that we've already budgeted,
Right.
keep things, the total looking pretty much the same as the total looks today, but
Yeah.
doing it in the new system.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly, based on what you're contributing today, as you can see on that very first page, you could pretty much almost do a flat budget, and
Right.
employees would still be able to purchase something pretty
Nice, pretty solid.
Pretty
Here's what it looks
equal.
like to me.
right.
Pretty solid. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So we will review it more carefully. Now, where are you based? Are you coming down here from Montpelier?
Montpelier, yeah.
Because now, after we've had time to look this over and talk it over and so on, can we then go back to VLCT and say, all right, these are the questions we have now? In other words, right,
Absolutely.
and focus it in on it. Okay.
Absolutely.
Great.
And you've been doing workshops around.
We've done a few regional meetings around the state, and we may do some more. Again, the rates just came out and approved, so that kind of gives us a next.
So we
next
see
step.
we see a little bit. Great. It
Yeah.
looks okay.
I'll hand you this. This is all of the plans in the exchange, and there's quite a few of them here, but it gives you an idea of plans that are available and the benefits. This is from the state.
No, how's that? But you're saying there are only two plans that are actually available.
Two
Okay.
companies.
Carriers,
Two carriers. So you're,
multiple plans.
oh,
for
so
each
this is
carrier.
just okay.
Right. And then this sheet here gives you all the rates of all of the plans in the
Okay.
exchange.
Great.
So it's a lot of information. If there's one thing, like I've told most select boards, if there's one thing that you can get walking away, is to understand that tomorrow, or 2014, the big difference is you're just determining a dollar figure on how much you're going to contribute to premium. The employees really get a choice of plan. They really can look at their own basic needs and say,
Within the particular carrier that we've chosen.
if you limit to
If
area.
we limit. So we could say, let's say, just for the sake of argument, we pay, you're saying we're paying now $78,000 a year.
Yeah.
We're paying that same $78,000 a year.
Yeah.
And we'd have to, I'm sure this has to all get formalized. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not just a grand total. And then we say to the employee, it's up to you now. This is what we'll pay. We pay X of this plan. You go
And based on your needs, you may have one employee that looks at it and says, I don't use it a lot. I'm just going to use the amount I put in premium, and I'm going to purchase a plan lower so I don't have to pay anything out of my paycheck
Mhm.
for premium.
Gotcha.
You may have another employee that looks at it and says, I do use it quite a bit, and I know I'm going to have maybe a surgery coming up. I'm going to pay a little bit extra and I'm going to get the richest plan in the exchange, knowing that I'm going to have some
Gotcha.
choices.
Okay, cool.
Okay?
And we could let one employee take Blue Cross and one MVP.
You can. You'll get one bill from Vermont Health Connect.
Oh, really?
You won't get two bills. You'll get one bill from Vermont Health
I
Connect, and it will show you
What's
basically how much
fully-
you pay the bill, and then you take the deductions out of the employee's paycheck.
I mean, is there any disadvantage to our giving that choice?
No, and I mean, if you think your employees would be better off with one carrier or the other, you could limit the carrier, but there's really no.
There's no advantage to the municipality to do it because we've already said we'll pay 70, whatever the amount is, we'll pay 70% of the green plan, the gold plan of this such and such.
Right.
And then as long as that dollar figure
Yeah.
matches, it's up to the employee with what they actually do.
Yeah, you as an employer, you're going to benchmark how much you're going to pay.
Right.
And you'll say, when you set yourself up in October, you may say, we're going to pay 100% of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield silver plan.
Right, and then
And
if we don't limit the carrier, the employee could go and find whatever plan they wish, knowing that's the limit of what the town is going to pay.
You got it. Exactly.
Okay, cool.
You got it.
Okay, thank you so much for all this information.
There's a lot of stuff there. Normally, the presentations we've been doing around the state, the regional presentations, and I don't want to take up that much time. Is roughly 2 hours.
Yeah, I
This is
think
like
that,
a 2-hour
right,
presentation.
maybe kind of
Yeah.
shortcut it. But that's great, and we may need a special meeting that focuses
Yeah.
specifically on this.
Yeah, and it, I can certainly come back, and if you want to do it with employees, that way they could hear what's coming.
Mhm.
I would be more than happy to
Okay.
do that.
Okay,
Okay.
that seems like a very reasonable idea.
Are the new rates, is that all online now available?
It is. If you go right on the Vermont Health Connect website, the rates, the plans. In fact, I can give you what I just gave them. If you just want to hand that out. Those are all the rates, and here are all the plans. But they were just put on there yesterday around 9:30.
Great. Well, Larry, thank you very much for coming down from
Yeah.
Montpelier, and I do think we will want to have a meeting, not immediately, but not too far. We want to get in at the beginning,
Sure.
and get all the employees. I think it's a good idea to have the in certain. I mean, actually, employees can always come, but to let them know we're going to have it and to encourage them to come and be present. And obviously, town folks would be an open meeting, and anyone else from the public would be also welcome to attend. But I think, and we'll kind of try to sort this through, learn all the details, and get back to you.
Sounds good. That's
Thank
fine.
you very much.
Thank you, Larry.
Thanks,
All right.
Larry.
All right.
Okay, the next order of business is the PACE program. Don?
At the last meeting, I went over, kind of summarized the PACE program, which again is Property Assessed Clean Energy. And at the end of the meeting, or after my presentation, it was requested that I contact the 4 towns in Windham County that are involved in the PACE program. They're Marlborough, Halifax, Putney, and Westminster. I did contact all people in all 4 towns. Based on the phone conversations I had with Marlborough, Halifax, and Putney, they're all PACE districts. No community members have signed up for the PACE program within those 3 towns.
Mm-hmm. So they don't yet have a direct experience of how it's
They've taken
working.
the town meeting, but no one has taken advantage of the program
Okay.
as of the time I spoke with them at the beginning of the week. I contacted Westminster, but they have no town manager, so information was not readily available on
Okay.
what their program is. And I also checked in, I think one of the questions was, when is the next sign-up period? And the next sign-up period is September 1st. The sign-up period following September 1st will be in early 2014.
So, like January, February?
She didn't have a date, but she thought February 1st, but that's.
Sign up for the town.
Sign up for the town. After the town, if the town has a town meeting and decides to become a PACE district, then they would sign up as a town with the PACE program,
Okay.
with Efficiency Vermont. And
Right.
Efficiency Vermont, you have the choice as to whether you want to administer the program as a town or whether you want Efficiency Vermont to administer it. Every one of the four, Efficiency Vermont is the administrator.
Okay.
John, question. So
Yes.
the dates you just gave us, September 1st and, or let's say February 1st, those would be times that we would put our application into PACE, once our town has become.
I think after you, my interpretation was, the town takes a meeting and then signs on with Efficiency Vermont September 1st. And then I believe at any time, once you're signed on, then you can, and I can go back and get that
Okay.
information from before. That's my interpretation, so.
Yeah, I wasn't clear, because when I was reading about it, it wasn't clear whether it was the town or if it was availability of funds went through different application periods. So that if an individual wanted to apply, those were the grant times, the date times.
Yeah, they're calling this September 1st date a subscription period.
Yeah.
So I was thinking that it was the town that subscribed, and then from that point on, then you, a community member, could apply.
That makes sense.
But the first step has to be the town meeting, right?
The town has to decide whether it wants to become a PACE district.
The question I have is what preparation has to be made for that meeting? In other words, I, for example, don't feel like I could lay out what it is I don't feel clear enough about it. I've heard what people have said. I kind of understand it in general terms, but to say, put it before the town as a proposal.
I did get information. I said, well, what happens if we decide to become a PACE district? What next? And, got a listing of what happens and what meetings need to be take place. But your question is, how do we set up the town meeting?
Well, I know how to set up a town meeting. The question is what form. There has to be, for a town meeting, my understanding is there would have to be an article that essentially the town would be voting on. So the formulating of that article is kind of what I'm
They gave you some samples.
Did they give us some
Yes.
samples?
There's 3 samples that was on the administration.
Well, that's kind of what I'd like to see, and then I think we'd have to decide as a select board whether to call that town meeting, or if we failed to do so, the town, of course, could, 5% of the people could petition and cause a town meeting. But here, that's what I'm looking for. This is what I was looking for. That's
We should keep that.
what we would have to do, what sample ballot language, and it says what the warning says. I believe we have to give 30 days notice for a town meeting. So I believe we're kind of too late to make the September 1st deadline. I think we would have to, and we still need a little bit more information.
August has 31 days.
Yeah.
Warn it tomorrow.
Yeah. I don't feel clear enough on it. I wonder if a member of the select board or even the public would want to, but I think the select board would want to expand this and be able to, so that if we were to bring to the board essentially a positive, whatever it's called, an assertion to say yes, to say to the board, to pass a motion to say we should hold this town meeting and we should say a date. is there someone who would want to kind of take on having all the background details so that we can not look like idiots? Is basically what I'm aiming for. Not always possible.
I think I heard Todd said he was.
Yeah, I can hear him. Yeah, Todd. Oh, thank you.
Well-
Does it need to be someone from the board, or can it be?
It could. If one of the townsfolk would kind of put it together. What I'm looking for really is a small packet that says this is critical,
Yeah.
and then what lays behind that. That then all of us as a board could look at it and say we're comfortable with putting this forward, with calling a town meeting essentially for the purpose. That's what we have to decide.
Dawn, in any of the conversations, can we solicit from any of the other towns the specific language that the board would need to make a decision to present to the town on what it is that the townspeople are voting on? What is it that the town sort of puts themselves on the hook because Pace is a district in this town? You know, kind of the legalese of where we're at with it.
Can we get Steve Markowitz to come down and explain it? I mean, he's the head of the efficiency.
There was a woman I was speaking with,
Who is Steve Markowitz? The
He-
Gloria?
Efficiency Vermont, he's the director.
Well, I think we could do that.
yeah, there's a program manager that I talked to at Efficiency Vermont. Her name was Lonnie Malapan, and she was the one that sent me information about that. So.
I think the gist of the program is really that the town sits ready as a facilitator. Isn't it up to a $30,000 loan that is granted to the property owner that solicits
Yeah, up
the
to
loan.
30,000 based on the type of improvements that they're hoping to accomplish.
Yeah. See, that's the kind of information that I would like just a packet so that when we sit before the town and say, you know, this is the limit of our liability, this is how we do it, this is, you know, I understand that from what you said last time how it works, and this piece of paper that I just got clearly says how you warn the meeting. That's important and clear here. That seems I do think it'd be really nice to hear from somebody from Efficiency Vermont. If you could get back to Lonnie and just ask her who it doesn't matter. I don't know the people individually, so whoever they would think would be a reason to come
So
to
we
talk
need
to the
somebody
select
that's
board.
fluent on the page.
Yeah, and can
come in
really
and
lay
talk to
out.
the select
Yeah,
board.
exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
I'm not even so sure just the select board, but would be able to be at the town meeting.
No, I'm talking before the town meeting.
Well, I understand that,
Right, both meetings.
both meetings.
Do you want somebody to come in
And talk to us.
on two
Well, initially just
occasions?
schedule to talk to us, and then
Okay.
once we schedule, if we decide, yes, we want to go forward with it, then we would appreciate their being available for the actual town meeting.
Okay.
That would be very helpful.
So, because last time we were here 2 weeks ago, you were alluding to the possibility of doing a vote before the town meeting, so now.
Well, the vote we have to do is to vote to have a
Right.
town meeting.
But you had said something about maybe doing a special meeting, because we're now talking about March, beginning of March,
No,
before we could even
I
be.
think, didn't you say, Don, that there's a second one at the very beginning of January? So
Right.
we have enough time now to hold a special.
She was speculating, she thought it might be February 1st, so. something
Yeah, I
like
mean,
that.
the problem is, you know, it seemed, for us to go ahead and say, we're gonna call a town meeting, it's a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
It's not something we take at all lightly, and though I understand in general terms what we're dealing with, honestly, this is one of the first concrete things I'm looking at, other than what people have said, so that takes some time to sort through and decide and figure when the best timing is, et cetera, et cetera. It's not something we do lightly, calling a town meeting.
Right.
But didn't you say the money's gonna run out at a certain point if we don't sign up?
It's funded to Go ahead, I think it's funded through 2014.
all the way through 2000.
I'd be happy to give you my packet
Oh,
that I
but-
just downloaded
yeah.
from the computer.
Well, that's great.
And
That's-
this is a really nice document. I mean, I'm not really smart with all this stuff, but this is basic questions, which is what I think if the town
Yes.
wanted to see some
Okay.
kind of documentation.
And we might want to
It
make
has the
copies of
questions
all
and
this.
the answers, the towns, the whole thing about nobody in the
We're-
town being liable except for the person who's gone into the agreement.
Gotcha. No, I'm not, I'm honestly, to be honest, what I've seen looks promising and looks like a good thing to get involved with. It just, it's not a small matter for us to call a town meeting.
Yeah. No, I
That's something I would do cautiously and being
Right.
very clear what it is we're calling it for and, you know, and then call it, you know?
Outside
properly
of
warn
the
it.
PACE program, for what it is you were speaking of 2 weeks ago, are there other avenues or venues where you could facilitate some energy efficiency outside of this program and do it and get it done immediately?
I think there are some federal not grants, but federal rebates on solar. You know, we're looking at a solar electricity photovoltaic system, and there are some rebates, but they include that in this loan that you have to show all of that up front, you know, with your application, and then after all those rebates, then PACE kicks in.
So they're all tied to PACE then, every single one of them?
I don't think they're tied to PACE. I think my understanding, Don, correct me if I'm wrong, that when you apply to PACE, you need to have all that other information before you apply, because they take that into consideration when they decide what your assessment would be.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, if you're borrowing $30,000 because that's the total package and you get a $500 rebate, you know, they're only gonna want you to borrow $29,500. I mean, it's, they want you taking advantage of everything that's available out there, and then you get the loan based on what you need after those incentives have been taken.
And we are talking about a loan here, we're not talking about a grant
It's a
to
loan,
people.
yes, it's a loan.
We're talking about, it still has to be repaid. It must, I assume, lower interest rate than most cases, but it's still a loan.
Right. You know, another idea possible, and we heard about this through a solar company in Massachusetts. I mean, Vermont's not the only state that has PACE. It's throughout the United States. And I know he has dealt with PACE a lot, putting in solar projects and energy efficient projects. And, you know, maybe he's someone who'd want to come and talk about his experience.
Sure.
I don't
Sure.
know if that's an option.
It is, it's always, yes. that
Because
would
I'm
be-
wondering in these other 4 towns that, in Windham County, that has adopted PACE, who brought it forward? And was it, were it people who were installing solar solar projects, or carpenters? I mean, it just seems like somebody brought it to the town's awareness, and then they voted on it. We kind of came by, my husband and I, wanting to do a project at our home, finding out that this PACE existed, which would allow us to finance this project we'd like to do. So that's how it came to Newfane. So I was kind of surprised that in the other towns, people haven't taken advantage of it, because we're chomping at the bit
Yeah.
to take advantage of it.
I did get the feeling it was resident driven. I mean, I think
Yeah.
it might have been town driven, because if it was resident driven, you would assume that a resident would have taken advantage of it.
It could have
It was
been
driving
business driven,
force.
could have been business
And it could
driven.
have been business driven.
Somebody who has,
How
puts in
do
solar
they
hot
do
water
that?
systems, or, you know, solar electricity, could have brought it to the town, and yet no one's taken advantage of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at it, there is a 30-day requirement before you can call a town meeting. So we're really, you know, to try to get that in before us, then file by September 1st,
Yeah,
just
doesn't make sense.
it doesn't sound likely. So let us take a little time, let's gather this additional information, let's keep at it, and then hopefully well before the next round of these, we should be in, either have concluded there's a problem with it, which we have not seen so far, or that it seems every reason we should have a town meeting to decide whether the town wants to commit itself to this.
Yeah.
John, did that article that you were after with the wording, is there something beyond that that?
This is fine for
Just
a
get
warning.
the
This
whole
definitely covers what we need for warning. This is very, very specific,
Yeah.
and it looks totally fine to me. So I think this'll, for the warning that we would have to do for the town meeting, we got it. And honestly, as far as I'm concerned, this is plenty of information. I got enough homework as it is. So I'm happy to feel like that's enough. And
So maybe we could
and-
all get a packet of that?
Yeah, if you could, if you could just send to
I
Pat.
thought that's what we sent to Pat a month and a half ago.
No, it was
Or a month ago.
it was one page.
If you could send her the URL, whether you did or you didn't in the
No,
past.
I went on that and I don't,
I went on and it said something about what was it? I can't remember, it was like 3 weeks ago, but it said administration package or town information package, and that's what was there, and I just
Okay.
downloaded it.
Oh, okay.
I
So
had it last time.
let's just do it again,
Yeah.
all right? Maybe
Send
if you could just send it again. Pat's email has been a bit of a problem recently, so you
Yeah.
could just send it
Yeah.
again, and she'll distribute it to the board, and then we'll have an
I
opportunity
just
to
know
read
that
it.
I don't really know, I mean, I'm not, what do you say, financially savvy, I kind of like don't even know how to run a checkbook, but I could understand this, it was written in enough of layman's
Okay, great.
terms and
So maybe even a select board person could understand it. That's questionable, though. That's a different level. Okay, thanks very much for keeping at this.
Thank you, Don.
Yeah. Thank you, Don, for the work you've done. It's terrific. Okay, the next item of business is the Newfane news, as it were. Lynn, you want to talk a little to us about what this is about?
Chairman John Knapp, select board members, members of the public, and other attendees. My name is Lynn Forrest, and I live on Dover Road in South Newfane. And I've been a lister for about 4 months, so that's kind of who I am right now. I'm happy to announce the creation of the Newfane News. It's an opportunity for people in the town of Newfane to find out what's going on and to let other people know what's going on. I don't know about you, but if you've ever gone along the road, you went, oh, I wanted to go to that event and I missed it. This is to prevent that from happening and to give us an opportunity to share with each other. We had this great opportunity. We met with, we get all our names here, John Mack, Deb Luskin, Myra Fassler, Jeanette Perry, and Jeff Potter, who's the editor of the Commons newspaper that comes out on Wednesdays, and his intern, Sarah Lipkoff. And we discussed creating a page in the Commons that would come out once a month. And he offered and we accepted. So on Wednesdays, starting in August, we'll have one page of the Newfane News with, hopefully, our community reporters. So there's the rub. We'll need our community reporters. Any news is good news. So the news gets sent to Newfane at commonsnews.org. That's NEWFANE at commons, COMMONS, news.org. It can also, if you have questions or you wanted to speak it over the phone, you can call Deb Luskin at 348-7360 or me, Lynn Forrest, at 348-7984. The submissions will need to be made by a Friday before the publication. So, for example, the first premier issue, which will feature the Rock River Revival Festival, and that will come out on, the deadline will be August 16th, and then the issue will come out on August 21st. But if you have news, you have information, things you want to share, don't wait till the deadline. Send it anytime. It will go, Deb Luskin will get it, and then she will forward it over to the editorial staff at the Commons. I think this would be a lot of fun. I think we can share a lot of information. If you're interested in being the reporter, that's great. Get a hold of Deb, get a hold of me. So again, send your news to newfane@commonsnews.org.
Great, thank you very much. I will add just one thing from the meeting, which is to be clear that this is news as opposed to opinion. They're not looking for our, comments on, I didn't like his haircut, whatever it is. It is news that they're looking for. Opinions still should be letters to the editor or essays, articles, whatever. This is specifically for informational, not, banging one's own, whatever, tooting one's own horn or issue or whatever. It's not about that.
One other point, there are going to be special advertising rates for our pages. So anyone who wants to you have a business, you have a friend that has a business, they want to advertise on our page, the Commons would be really happy to do that, and they're going to have special rates for those advertisers.
Yes, and it really is a positive response that we've gotten from the Commons to really try to make this a going concern. So I really do encourage people to, if you know of an event or anything that is factual information that the Newfane folks need to know about, make sure it gets to the site that Lynn brought up.
Newfane@commonsnews.org.
We should have it running under the. You should have a T-shirt. Okay, thank you very much, Lynn.
It's going to be in the paper, the Commons?
The Commons. It's a page in the Commons. That's what it is.
Yeah, see, Wardsboro has something like that. They call it the Bucketville News. That's rolled up.
I think their wish ultimately is that in the Commons is to have a page of Newfane news and then probably a page of someone else, some other town. So we're in the forefront.
Yes,
There.
absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Unscheduled members of the public. Okay, Lynn Forrest.
Let me find my notes. Excuse me. Okay. All right. Thank you for the opportunity to speak regarding, here we go, the 2013 Rock River Revival Parade and Festival. The purpose of the event is to recognize and raise funds to benefit the volunteer fire departments of Newfane. Last year, if you remember, the parade was created and started by Chris Roybert, and it grew out of the desperate need to celebrate surviving the Hurricane Irene and to honor the firefighters that saved lives during that time. Well, this year, we want to celebrate the continuing health of our community and bring together all of the villages to celebrate and continue to support the firefighters as they continue to protect us every day. This year, the parade will begin at 12 noon. That lets everybody do their church thing. And start at Williamsville Covered Bridge and go to the South Newfane Village. There will be music, food, festivities. There will be face painting, raffles, and contests. And if you ever wanted to climb on a fire truck, this is your chance. This is when you can do it. A number of the select board members will be participating in the parade in their various functions and connections to
My
the
function
community.
will be playing the saxophone, which if you've ever heard, you realize that I may make a better cheer than a saxophone player, which is really frightening. But it's fun.
And we invite the community to come in March. It's important to come in March, and you don't have to live by the Rock River to come in March. If you have, if you want to get your pickup truck or your antique car or whatever, that's great. Have it in the parade, because the more people in the parade, the more excitement, the more fun we have. So, contact information. This is really good. Thank you. What I left off is that we need donors, because for fundraisers you always need donors, and we've established certain levels. So you can go from engineer firefighter all the way to fire chief. $1,000 donation will get you to be the fire chief for this parade.
Just don't have a fire that day.
So if you want to march and come and have the fun, or if you want to donate, the number to call is Carol Ross at 348-7440. or send her an email to carol@rockriver-studio.com. I hope to see you all there.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thanks, Lynn.
Other members of the public, unscheduled members of the public?
I'll vote.
Do you want to speak?
Sure, why not?
Well, I could think of a couple reasons. If you don't encourage me. Go ahead, Ken.
Okay, I don't see two items on the menu. One of them is this monstrosity. We've poked around and
You should identify for the people watching. Don't know
okay,
what you're
the
referring
safe.
The wall.
We've poked around, and Bolsters was the culprit that transported this thing to this space, and there was no wall at the time. We've contacted Bolsters, who's now Crofters, and maybe they have an interest in doing something with us, but the wall, I'm afraid, will have to be dealt with. I also understand we have 7 interested parties to do some bidding on the project.
Great.
And hopefully by the 15th, they'll all come in with
Great.
something.
Great.
The other question I have is what's happening to the printer, copy machine?
It's we actually will be talking about that, but if you bring it up now, we could bring it up now. I don't have any problem with that.
You want to bring it up now?
Go ahead. I mean, in other words, I added it to the agenda,
Oh, okay.
but it's okay. It's not on the quote official agenda, so it's totally fine if you'd like to bring it up at this time.
It's your show.
Okay. All right. So we'll come to it later in the agenda. Thank you, though. It is important that we resolve that. Okay. Any other unscheduled members of the public? The next order of business is the 5-kilometer race request. This, I think. Oh shoot! I forgot something for the Pat. Just this. I'm going back a step. Could you make sure, maybe you already have, that the sheriff's department is aware of the problem with the trash, that we do have a lead on somebody who might be dumping trash illegally? I think a memo was sent to you recently on this. Could you just contact Mark and let him know this information and see if there's anything they can do about it?
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Then now we're on the 5-kilometer race, and this is something that has happened in the past, and it really is just informative, I believe, to us. I don't believe we actually have to formally, quote, approve it. It does seem is happening again. I have a note from Ted and Kim Colligan that there is the race, that they've got signs up, and so on. What is the date of the race?
Yeah, I thought it would be on your.
And I'm looking for it here.
Saturday, September 28th.
Okay, so there's some time before this, but they are planning again to have the 5-kilometer race starting at the elementary school. Okay. The next. Is there anything further on that? Okay. The next is the dam culvert. I don't know why I basically have spoken with Todd and with a couple of other people about this. Is anyone here concerned specifically about that? We're basically going to handle it ourselves. Is that the town does seem to have responsibility for it, and we're going to be handling it, but we're waiting to actually do the handling of it till Todd returns. And we have contacted V-Trans and gotten their advice on how to handle the situation. The next.
Can we just say thank you?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We definitely want to get it taken care of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does everybody on the select board understand?
Do you?
Well, only because.
What is your question?
Well, what the issue is.
Well, we've got a culvert under a road that is leaking, and we've got to repair it so that it doesn't destroy the road and also pour all over everything. So that, we will take care of it. We have gotten advice, and once Todd returns, he's going to take care of it. The next is that concludes the official new business, but I do have a new piece of business that requires select board approval and also requires the person that I direct this to be willing to accept this, which I know she's going to give me a hard time about, which is that there is a municipal award for service, kind of beyond the call of duty. And it's been recommended to me that Chris Druk be presented for this reward, which I think she richly deserves. It is, I have to bring it up because it requires a select board to vote. You can vote against it, but you can't refuse it.
Okay.
Chris has done some really wonderful work for the town, has continued to, on a daily, weekly, monthly, every time basis. I hope not at too much expense to her own business, certainly making her have kind of almost two jobs, and I do think she richly deserves our nomination. So I would like to entertain a motion that we do apply for an award for Chris from the Vermont League of City and Town.
So moved.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. To avoid, and is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
And Chris, of course, abstains,
Yeah.
but and she may not even want it, but she's going to get
Fortunately,
it
we have
whether she
three.
wants it or not. She deserves it. She's done some wonderful work. So I will
Thank you.
take care of this.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is that an award or just a nomination? For
It's
it?
just a nomination.
Oh, okay.
It's just a nomination. VLCT makes their own choice, and I must say they do say things like, they keep showing as an example service to VLCT. We're a little more concerned with service to the town of Newfane. So that's, but it is up to them. But I will write up the thing. But I
No
need
matter
it.
what, she's already got her vote, so.
Yeah.
Give it a
Yeah.
rave review.
Yeah. Okay. No, I'll say she sucks. Gives me so
I can
much.
handle that
Holds me
easier.
up and upsets me all the time. Okay. That brings us to old business, and I'm going to bring up one piece of old business initially, which is simply, I do have, you could call it a correspondence, but just, I want to make sure the audit preparation is all getting ready, that we don't have any issues. Are we okay on this, Pat, in terms of those things
We've
that
been
need to
working.
come from us?
We have been working on this.
Okay, so do you think we should be able to get everything ready by 10/9/9, which is the date they plan to come?
Yes,
Okay, that's all I need to hear. Thank you for coming.
thank you.
On number 12,
On number 12, item 12, yes, in the list.
yeah, I'm just gonna make a note on that,
Yes,
because that was like our biggie. You can see the word receivable.
yes.
Okay, so I touched base on how these little connecting spreadsheets are going, and we are moving along on that. I'm just reporting that we're making progress.
Good.
So number
Okay.
12,
Okay,
yep,
okay,
we're looking good there.
okay, very good. The next order of business is the personal policies, adding to that our employees will acknowledge that they've read the personnel policy and are in accord with it, and that they've read the conflict of interest, and that they will identify anything that will potentially could, not that it does cause a conflict of interest, but that could cause a conflict of interest. And I see Pat has drawn this up for us. I'll just read it aloud, that all the employees and elected officials currently newly hired are required to sign the personal policy document affirming that they've read and understand Newfane's personnel policy. They also are required to affirm they've read and understand the Newfane's conflict of interest policy. Both documents are required to be signed upon beginning employment to or elected office. And both documents will now be amended to include that, as we voted at the last meeting. So I think probably the next thing would be, we probably should prepare one of these for each of us
Okay.
to sign so that we can, be in accord with our new policy. Thank you very much, Pat.
We probably should make sure that we have that document and read it before we do sign it.
Well, we've already read it and all right.
The actual personnel policy.
The personnel, you're right, Gloria.
But you're not saying that we're
The
signing it
conflict
as
of
this.
interest policy, we did review and affirm at the beginning of this.
But are you saying a page, a signature page for this to be accepted as a document, not that we are individually signing it?
No, I'm saying that we've now accepted this, she's just laying it out for us. This will be appended to the existing personnel policy document and the existing conflict of interest policy.
Okay.
But we need to actually ourselves sign them as in accord with this, as does Pat, as does the treasurer, as everybody should. We should now go about putting it into effect for existing employees and elected officials.
I agree.
So,
But I do
so
think we better get copies and
yeah, we should.
hands and
Though
have them read it.
I agree. I agree. No, certainly. I'm just saying in terms of conflict
Yes.
of interest
Yeah.
policy. Hopefully, we read it before we voted on it. The personnel policy, on the other hand. So, Pat, if you could prepare some copies of the personnel policy, the new with this addendum, and the conflict of interest policy with this addendum for each person to sign. I'm just wondering in terms of use of paper, how long is the personnel policy? Well, each person should have it. Once they sign it, I actually feel they should keep the
Right.
copy.
I do too.
And then, we should have the signing page. It should be on a separate page, so then they can keep the document in their own possession, and we can have the sign page in the personnel
We
file.
can do back to back.
Okay, how you'll take care.
Mhm.
Well, I actually want to separate it oh yeah, you mean to make it a
Policy.
shorter document.
Mhm.
But keep this sign page as a separate page, so you can essentially, once they've signed it, separate it from the policy
Mhm.
and let them keep the
Right.
copy of the policy.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving ahead, just in terms, I'm adding a little item to the docket here. It's come to my attention that there have been some, whatever you want to call it, complaints that the phones are, that there isn't a sufficient privacy on the phones, that it's too easy for one person to essentially listen in on another person's conversation. And I checked this out with the person who originally installed the phones and determined that our phones should have actually the option, they were set with a default of not having any privacy. I don't see the point of that in our office. In other words, we rarely have a situation, we have the opposite problem. You're in a conference call if you were just talking in your own office because everybody hears everything in here. So what I would like to do, and I'm just asking the board's permission to do this, is to contact the gentleman who installed the phones in the first place and ask if there would be a cost, probably not a very high one, because from my understanding of the manual for these phones, it's a pretty simple process to just change the default back to private, so that people can feel comfortable that they're talking without worrying who else might be talking on the phone.
I'm puzzled, because are we saying that one person from one office thinks that somebody else is?
I certainly do not want to get into allegations.
Yeah, there's no.
No, I'm not. I didn't even know that you can do that.
Well, there's a privacy. They aren't
Well,
set
yeah.
with privacy,
Okay.
and I think there's an expectation for anybody who calls in here, whether they're calling you or
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I just don't know how.
To
Yeah,
have-
no,
be able to have a private
you could-
conversation.
Okay, all right. So yeah, that's the reason that they do. When I talked to him, he said they were set up without that option. So the point is to set them up with the option. So could I have a motion to that effect?
I'd like to make a motion to have you call Southern Vermont Telephone and set the phones so that they are, private.
It's been moved and second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously of members present. Okay, the next items of business have to do with our glorious attempt to continue repairing our village and our town, I should say, to its pre-flood state. So I think that comes to you, Krista.
And we are. We have Hunter Brook. The forms are done and concrete is being poured. Isn't that lovely?
Isn't that amazing?
And we have documents ready and tabbed for signature. We will not sign these yet because we're
This
finishing.
is Lynchbridge.
This is Lynchbridge.
Now you're talking about.
Yes. So all the contracts were reviewed. Renault Brothers was the lowest bid on that. And I just got to tie some loose ends through the state together and we'll be ready to sign these lovely sets of documents.
Okay, so there's not any problem, just to be clear, there's not any problem or question about whether Renault is okay. That was cleared by SVE
Very
as we
clear.
requested.
Yes.
And it's just simply a matter of making sure all the i's are dotted and t's crossed in terms of our working with the state and with FEMA to make sure that everything's properly reimbursed.
Yep.
Is the Lynch Bridge okay now with FEMA?
Well, I believe it is, but I'm waiting for the final. You know, I like everything in writing.
We're waiting for,
And permitting.
Don't hold your
and-
breath.
I got an aside. I was talking to the person in charge of the school board because they were having a meeting tonight on that $850,000 project.
Yeah.
And I mentioned to him that there is a very, very vague idea that FEMA may not finance the Lynch Bridge for $500,000.
Well,
And she kind of went, ooh, because their project is $850,000.
wow.
So she says maybe we have to rethink that.
well, no, it's.
Well, we're
let's
just
not-
barely into sending that whole bid package
Yeah.
up there. And I'd like to put a plug in for the state on this. In the background behind all this, there really are some very, very hardworking people trying to advocate for these various different towns, and these would be the public assistant arm of the state of Vermont. And I mean, these are the tax dollars that go up there, and I can tell you, they're earning every penny. So, for what it's worth,
It's really hard. There's always these things get said, and you know, it's a long, hard process. So,
yeah.
but I think people shouldn't be, Let's not base things on rumor, innuendo, or
No, it
possibility.
was just that we were having a conversation and I was being flipped
Yeah.
about the 850,000.
We're gonna spend $3 million on that bridge. I'm
Sure, why
making
not?
out
While we're at it, why not?
Platinum, the platinum time. Maybe we could get it. Maybe get its health insurance.
Yeah.
So when would we be signing these documents? Next select board meeting?
No, we may end up having to sign them before then, because as soon as we're a go and everything's put into position, our last meeting
But
was
we
to-
authorized
yes,
signing
we-
them, so we don't need
yeah.
a meeting to we
So we
authorized.
could just,
We
they could
said
just be
that
passed around.
if
Yeah.
we had a motion that if SVE gave it its approval, we would go with the lowest bidder, which was Renault.
Oh, I
so
understand
we're
that,
all
but she
set.
said we can't sign it now.
Well, you're at a point where all the logistics for everything have to come right together at once, and it's going to hit between meetings and so on. So,
And we're really hoping we can get it quickly so that we can get it built in this building season. That's still
Yeah.
our hope.
exactly.
That's still our hope.
Yeah.
Okay, HMGP.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Okay. We may be closing on one property. We're having a little bit of difficulty on a lag on the other one, and frankly, I hadn't had a chance with your email being down. I haven't seen any documentation ready to go to the state on those other two from the attorney's office. We're having a little problem trying to get some of these documents through back to us so that we can pass them to the state. And I think we've been pretty clear that if we don't get those quick, we're going to shift attorneys because we can't keep waiting on it.
Okay. Okay.
And I would like to make a comment on Wiswell Hill Culverts.
Ah, yes, okay.
That's been a little bit of a logistical problem. Wiswell Hill Culverts bid has been put on hold. And I definitely want to wait until Todd gets back here so
Okay.
we can have a conversation. I met with V-Trans last week on that. There's a possibility that we may back off from the HMGP
Okay.
infrastructure grant and use a different mechanism on those
Okay.
culverts.
Okay.
But until I can talk to Todd and lay it out, we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
And I will detail this in a much more lengthy.
Okay.
You have all the notes on it, but we haven't got it into so that you can read
Okay.
it.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, that does bring us to the famous copier. How is our copier? Does it?
It's been working with the latest repair, so.
All right.
so far. So I contacted the one company. I'm gonna give each of you, and this is front and back. You had everything except what you're going to see in yellow.
We'll pass them down.
On your
Pass
last,
on down, okay.
at the last meeting. And so at the last meeting, I did have this rental section, but I contacted Dan Ennin, and he got back to me if we just go with a black and white, and it's a rental and it's not a lease, different model number, that it would be $70 a month. And we can rent that on a month-by-month basis. So if we decided later, within a couple of months, we wanted to buy something, or we wait until, so it doesn't go with any of these leases.
Mm-hmm.
So that, I think, was significant. The one that we would get in black and white is outlined on the back. It's a full one, but trying to keep information. It does give us a 42 paid per minute copying, and it reduces it from 4,000 black and white copies to 3,500 per month, with an overage of about 2 cents for each copy, and that would be billed each month.
Mm-hmm.
I did some calculations that it would come up to, maybe maximum of what we would pay out throughout the year would be another $200. So if you take your $70 per month, which includes all the toner and everything.
That's a good deal for me. I don't know, anybody, I'm sort of feeling like the next time, how quickly can they get one of these here? In other words, I'm thinking, run the darn, we're still got the contract on the other, run the darn thing, and the next time it breaks, go for the rental, the last one you put on here.
Yeah,
Or when our thing runs out, which is what, end of August? It's just
yeah, I
one
have
last
the
month, right?
maintenance.
So then maybe contact them to say, September 1st, we want this guy, and possibly a little earlier if that thing dies before then.
But this is just a straight rent. It's
This is
Straight
a straight
rental.
rental.
If you rent for 1 month or a year or 3 years.
Yeah.
So then, like you said, run now, and then if it does,
It's just,
Yeah.
they
if
get,
nothing else, it's $70 a month. You got something to get you through.
Yeah.
but what
So
they're
I
doing.
mean, it's not bad. It's the same, other than it being a used machine, it doesn't seem like it's, and why do we want to own it particularly? It's still the maintenance is still the cost that you
Right,
get
and
hit with.
the rental gives you all the maintenance.
I notice here's a new one, which we would quote own, its service is alone is $33 a month.
Yeah.
So to me, I don't know, looking at this, it seems like the $70 a month rental is not a bad deal.
Are you tied to a particular, how long, is there a contract that you have?
No, she's saying it's month to
It's just
month.
Month by month.
Yeah,
Oh, so it's not a guaranteed 12 month or anything like that.
you can have it as long as you want, but unlike these were that category, these are a month by month.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I got a question.
Hmm.
What do you estimate the income is from fees, people that have to have prints made? On a weekly basis, not,
I mean, we get $1 per page for every deed, anything from land records, and then
it's more than
$10.
$70 a week.
Yeah,
Month.
I got a $50 check yesterday.
So it's,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
it's much more
Yeah.
than that. No, it's definitely, we need a work, I mean, there's no doubt, that we need a working copier every day of
Yep.
the working year.
And it pays for itself.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, more than,
absolutely.
more than.
And everyone uses it. It's over in that office, but everyone in the building uses it. So
And this
I
particular,
would just say let's see if we can get through the month with the one we got, save the $70. But if it breaks down, immediately go for this and let them know that we're ready to start September 1st. That would be my suggestion.
yeah, just, there is one caveat here,
Okay.
is that they don't have these machines all the time. So right now, he has that.
All right, go ahead. Get it now.
And it also,
It's already, so.
this has a special feature that we don't pay anymore for. It has a finisher, so we could do booklets up to 50 sheets
Oh,
and
really?
collate
Okay.
and little staple
That
and.
sounds good.
So what do you do with the old one?
Doing the business.
Most of these, we'd love to give it away. I mean, whatever. We don't know where we could do that. Most of these companies and Dan will take it and get it recycled.
I mean, it still works.
Yeah, right now, after the new parts.
You want it?
Well, once again,
I guess you wouldn't ever get this one quick enough to know. I said donate it to the hospital auction.
well,
Or school?
let me say this on the
That's-
copier.
That's tomorrow. I mean, day after tomorrow.
Before it's removed out of this office, because of, who knows, people could come in here with very personal documents that they've copied. You would need to call and make sure you know exactly the requirements to clear any.
Well,
This-
it may
this
not
one-
have them.
This
Yeah.
one doesn't
May
have
not
a
have
hard
them,
drive
Andrew.
memory.
Ours
I
doesn't
asked.
over there.
Correct.
It doesn't.
Does
Okay.
not.
Okay. Just to make sure.
Yes, that's important.
Yeah.
Oh, I do too.
Okay, so do I have a motion are we ready to get it now, or should we wait until the end of August? I think that's the one question.
Are we still paying the monthly service fees on that through August, or how's our budget working on that?
I would have to check with Maureen on that.
Yeah,
What I know is it runs out,
Yeah,
Well, let's do it then.
Yeah, go ahead and work it out with them, and if they can, we're not in a rush. We
Yeah.
have a working copier, so if he can delay it till September 1st, that's ideal. If he can't, then let's go for it. Is that acceptable to people? So if somebody could make a motion to that effect?
I make a motion to have Gloria set up for the rental of the Konica Minolta as outlined in this copier comparison sheet.
That's the Minolta BizHub 421.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, motion is passed. Oh, no, hearing none. All those in favor? There's no discussion. That's it. We're doing it. Okay, motion passes unanimously of members present. There's no unfinished business, but Gloria had mentioned the shack to me that we haven't discussed in some time, and I presume that miserable shack is still present. I don't know that if anyone knows. Probably we should.
Rock River Shack.
Just to clarify what I'm talking about, the town has a path that it's one of our town paths from shortly from the. It's really along Depot Road or what Williamsville Road, depending on what you call it, through along the Rock River. And there is a shack that's in the right of way and is really a garbage dump. And we really have wanted to get rid of it. We haven't pursued it for a long time. We at some point contacted the owners who are out of state and said, that I don't think we ever got a response. I'm not sure what we can do.
Yeah, he came in. He had been in the hospital. And basically, their property has lost so much value because people are just, kind of destroying it. But I think he was planning to take it down. I just don't know.
Yeah, I thought last year or the year before he had agreed to take it down.
Yeah, but that may be true. I don't recall. What it would require, I guess, is somebody going and looking at first seeing whether the shack is there even.
Yeah, I'll do that.
All right, so Gloria, if you would just take a look, see what's going on and report back to us.
I would also recommend, John, since I'm not familiar with this whole situation, but from what I'm understanding is the town has a right of way.
That's right.
And we do not own this shack that we're discussing before
The
this
shack
meeting.
it actually intercepts
Right.
the
I
right
would
of way.
make a recommendation on behalf of the town that we might want to inquire with an attorney before we make any moves on anything.
Well, we can look at it free of charge.
But I'm
But the thing we made, it cuts both ways. That is to say, we don't want to be interfered. You're right in terms of talking to an attorney. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. We also, as an insurance person, you might also be thinking we also could have some liability in that if it's our path and we don't do anything about it. So we got to take a look in it.
Well, I think I'm being specific because when we talk about our path, a right-of-way may be different in a legal term than the ownership of the land through which the right-of-way goes through.
Okay,
That's
know
why
more than
it's
I
very
do.
important to know where your legal standing is.
Well, it is a path. It is a town path. I
Relation.
believe it. Literally,
Yeah,
we probably own the path as opposed to having permission to use.
I don't
the
know
path.
any of
I
it.
don't
I'm just
either.
sort of saying,
It's
since
not
I don't.
a
But let's first see if
No.
the shack's there altogether. Maybe it was been taken care
Right,
of.
right.
Okay, so
That would be ideal, and if it's not, just push it away. Get rid of it.
Isn't that supposed to be the remnants of the old stagecoach road?
Yeah.
That path?
Yeah, probably, undoubtedly.
So it could belong to the state.
Oh, I
No,
don't.
we've
I don't think so. I
pretty
think
much-
it's towns.
Yeah, we
I think
pretty
it's the
much-
towns. All right, that concludes our.
We do have we do have one piece of
Oh, okay.
correspondence.
What have you got?
Sevka, a letter from Sevka, which everybody.
Well, that was in relation to the thing that
the bio.
The HMGPs.
that
Okay.
Trish was talking about.
Okay.
I didn't want to enter it into the
Okay,
record
sorry.
if unnecessary. Okay, that concludes our regular business. We will need an executive session.
Can
To
I stay?
no, you
Oh,
can't.
good.
This is the point where the fact that you're not actually a select board member
Never will be.
does come
Oh.
into play.
You never know,
Yes,
Gunther.
you write in.
Next year.
Let's write 'em in. Okay, thank you, Gunther.
All right.
Take care.
Thank you.
And thank everyone who is here today. All right, so that means I would entertain a motion to go into executive session to deal with an employee matter and to deal with, well, actually, I don't know if we're really ready for the employee, but which is just a evaluation matter. And to deal with the, I guess I want to make people aware of it. So yes, to deal with an employee matter and to deal with a potential health hazard. Could I have a motion to that
So
effect?
moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Do we invite Pat?
Yeah, yes, we should invite Pat.